And if I can just add, sorry, one more thing, just because, we all have children, and I think that also for everybody here who's speaking about wanting to get married and have children, I think that's also an integral part of this business of really finding that balance. It's really, first of all, surrounding yourself with a really healthy community. And like Sam says, you're going to have very many people in your lives, and you're going to meet a lot of people in Silicon Valley. And some of them, maybe a lot of the things they do are not something that you subscribe to. You don't want to be like that, but you could always find something in most people that you can connect with. And I think if you just think more broadly about that, and at the same time your nucleus should be people that you respect and they respect you, and it may be a very small circle, and that's okay. And also, I think, so community is integral.
And people that are honest with you. I think Brian said that, right? Surround yourself with
yes,
people that are honest
with you. Exactly, honest with you and respect you. To respect you enough to be honest with you. I mean, personally, faith, I think, is also integral. But at the same time, also finding and a family, or deciding and making that decision to commit. And it's really that's something that I don't think we struggled with in our generation, but I think today it's a bigger challenge to have that conversation with yourself about putting that first. And that's your entree, and everything about it, including your career, was like your self. It really, really is important. And if you think that by putting that off indefinitely, you're going to be happier or even more successful, you're kidding yourself. I think if you think about the fact that that is as important, it's way more important than anything else you'll do as in a career, is to find someone to spend your life with, and to create a family, and to connect with your own family, and pay it forward. In that way, you will find true success, and that will be irreplaceable. And everything else will follow. That's what I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. The thing, so I think Toby's point is super well taken. Interestingly, a couple things about that. So, I probably don't talk that comfortably in a group like this about my wife or my kids, because I think at some level, it's so, I find there to be so much, and I don't mean just in a group like this, but even in other kind of settings, because it's there's so much luck in that. By far, I'd say, just so out of scale with the most important investments that have happened to me, just so out of scale with any other thing we talked about. But at the same time, sort of not a thing I could work for or decide for, like luck. And I watch that in terms of meeting my partner, which is amazing, and then having kids, and I watch people not be able to have kids or whatever. And so it's a thing that's I'm sensitive to talking about people. Some people who are wonderful people have a harder time finding a partner for whatever reason, luck or whatever, And so I think it's a hard, that's, kind of my response to that is I actually totally agree with the priority and actually how much that ends up actually mattering, more than anything else, probably. And at the same time, if for whatever reason that doesn't play out, you figure it out other ways, and it's so anyway, I think there's a sense to it. And at the same time, I wouldn't describe it the way you did. That is probably I have a kid, 2, 3, and 5. I've been married 10 years. That is the least mundane part of my life. I have put more work into being a good husband than anything else in my life. That means going to therapy in my first 3 years of my marriage to make sure I could figure out how to be a great partner. We could be great partners. We learned to communicate great. We were I invested in being good at that. We invested in being good at that more than I've almost invested in anything, and paid off better than literally anything. And not hard, still hard. And being a parent, these guys have 37 children, they'll tell
how many guys have? 7 now?
Feels like 37.
And just to do that, I don't know. I have no idea if I'm doing well. To do that well, I now have my first that's kind of at the age where you're and I'm naive. I don't really know yet. But there's okay, the kid for the first time doesn't like going to school. He gets up and he screams, he doesn't want to go to school. It's an intellectual challenge. I don't know what to do. I can't oh my God. I go to work, it's so much easier. It's intellectually easier, emotionally easier. So this kind of idea that you're sort of you go into the world and it's takes all of you, and then somehow there's like, if you're in your home life or in your charitable life and something it kind of requires less or whatever, like, I think I probably sort of had that archetype too, and it turns out that's just wrong. And so it's like sort of and then now I sort of have to remind myself that I have to organize my energy that way, and I have to sort of organize, like, I can't leave it all there. I can't, like, it's like, because it doesn't, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, and that was not a thing that, like I had to, like, that had to slap me across the face to, like, figure that out. And I'm sure, like, the thing is, like, I'm trying to only get it a little bit, you know, like, when I'm at their stage, I'll get it better.
Oh, look, it's the hardest thing we'll ever do. It's the most rewarding, but it is the hardest thing. You're going to work is like,
Stay at home mom or dad is the hardest job. There's no harder job than that. But you know, for me, one, making money is important. It is important to put food on your table for your family. And at the same time, I know a lot of really miserable rich people. And so when I think about life, like, you know, I was an econ major, which I didn't really like, maybe it was a mistake, but like, you did learn something. You learn about utility, maximizing utility. And I think a lot of people in finance get lost that utility for them is money. And utility for me is happiness and living a good, meaningful life. And, you know, we're all going to die someday, and I want to, you know, die with a lot of grandchildren around me and a large family and having done something good and left a mark. Who said that one? I was over there, I think, leaving a mark. But making money is important, and it is something that, you know, everything you do needs to be somewhat commercial. You have to put food on your table. That being said, I do enjoy my finance job. So I do, you know, I work at an investment firm. I enjoy it. I love looking at companies and learning about different industries. That being said, I'm under no illusions that I am saving the world in managing money or, you know, being the president of a, you know, much smaller than Brian financial institution. But I enjoy it. I get something out of it. It gives me the opportunity to do a lot of other things. And I'm not like, you know, some people make the excuse, oh, we're managing money for pension funds and we're managing money for endowments and we're doing great good because the pension funds that we're managing money for go to the, you know, individuals. But it's really pushing money around. I think in a lot of ways. But it's something that, like, you can really enjoy, but I try to do that balance that Brian was talking about. I try to balance that where I really enjoy it. I like the intellectual exercise of it. Do I think I'm leaving my mark on the world by being at this firm? No. But I'm able to do a lot of other things outside of that I feel like have the potential for that. And Shmuel, you're right. Like, a lot of finance people are very one-dimensional, and all it is about what's my bonus at the end of the year. And not only do they think it, they talk about it too, and it's really oppressive. And one of the reasons I moved to Westport was, you know, the of all the suburbs and being in New York City, like, I felt that there, yes, there are a lot of finance people, and there's some of that and all that stuff, but it was less showy, and there were a lot of, like, my friend group, you know, that we met in the past 2.5 years and through my kids and stuff, is very, unfortunately not racially diverse, but is diverse in jobs and careers and thought. And I've really enjoyed being there so far. And it's been a great thing for me not to be surrounded by a lot of the finance folks, and Brian probably, you know, knows the same thing, that their sole focus is on their paycheck at the end of the year, and they measure themselves and judge themselves, and their happiness is solely based on that, not all the other things that are around in life. That's how I think about it.